You know, every society has rules, and, well, every society has people who break them. But the big question is, why? Today, we're diving deep into criminology, the science that tries to figure out one of the most fundamental and complicated parts of human behavior, crime.
I mean, really think about it. Why do people break the law? Is it a calculated choice they make? Is it something about their upbringing or their environment? Or is it something deeper? Maybe something in their biology? This one simple but incredibly powerful question, well, that's the engine that drives the entire field of criminology.
So, before we can even begin to look for answers, we need to be on the same page. Let's start with the absolute foundation. What exactly is criminology?
Okay, so at its core, criminology is the scientific study of crime. The name pretty much gives it away, right? It comes from the Latin word crimen, meaning crime, and the Greek logos, which means study. But it's so much more than just looking at a single act. It's about the whole ecosystem, the person who commits the crime, what causes it, how society reacts, and, most importantly, how we might prevent it from happening again.
And here's something that's absolutely crucial to understand. Criminology doesn't live on an island. It's a total mashup. It pulls ideas and tools from everywhere. It borrows from sociology to understand things like poverty and social structures, from psychology to get inside the mind of an offender, and of course from law to figure out what even counts as a crime in the first place. This blend is exactly what makes it so powerful.
And because it's so interdisciplinary, its scope is just massive. Criminology looks at Penology. That's the study of punishment in prisons. It covers Victimology, which is a whole field dedicated to understanding the victims of crime. And then you've got branches focused on crime prevention, the justice system itself, and even the high-tech world of forensics. It's really a full 360-degree view of the entire problem.
Okay, so that's what they study, but how do they actually do it? Let's open up the Criminologist's Toolkit and take a look at the methods they use to investigate.
Criminologists basically have two main ways of getting information. On one side, you've got qualitative methods. Think of in-depth interviews with offenders or detailed case studies. This is how you get the rich, human stories that help answer the big question, why? But then, on the other side, you have quantitative methods. This is all about the numbers, crunching huge databases of crime stats to spot patterns and trends. This helps answer questions like, how much, or where is it happening?
And of course, in the last few decades, modern technology has totally changed the game. Take DNA profiling. It's become one of the most powerful tools out there. It lets investigators link a suspect to a crime scene with just incredible accuracy, sometimes from a single hair or a tiny drop of blood. It's amazing stuff.
And, as crime has moved online, the investigation has had to follow. Cyberforensics is basically the detective work of our digital age. It's all about piecing together digital breadcrumbs from computers, phones, and networks to track everything from a simple online scam to huge international criminal operations. This is the new frontier.
And looking even further into the future, we're seeing the rise of tools like predictive policing. Now, this uses AI and machine learning to sift through enormous amounts of data to try and forecast where and when crime is most likely to happen. The idea is to help police be more proactive. Of course, it's a pretty controversial field with a lot of heavy debate around it.
All right, all of this, the tools, the methods, it all leads us to the biggest, most difficult question of all. Why does crime happen in the first place? This is where we get into the major theories, the explanations. For hundreds of years, pretty much every argument about the cause of crime has boiled down to this one huge debate. On one side, you have the classical school. They argue that crime is a product of free will, that people are rational, they weigh the pros and cons, and they make a choice. But on the other side, you have the positivist school. They say crime is caused by factors outside of an individual's control, things like their biology, their psychology, or the social environment they grew up in. And trust me, this is not just some dusty academic debate. How you answer this question shapes everything, from how we police our streets to how we sentence people in court.
So let's look at how that positivist idea, that external factors matter, plays out in a couple of major theories. First, you've got differential association theory. The core idea here is that criminal behavior is learned, just like you learn anything else. If you hang out with people who see crime as okay, chances are you'll start to see it that way too. But then you have something like social bond theory. It flips the question and asks why don't most of us commit crimes? And the answer, it says, is that we have strong bonds to society, to our family, to our jobs, to our beliefs. Crime happens when those bonds get weak or break.
And the sociologist who came up with differential association, Edwin Sutherland, he put it so clearly with this quote.
He said, criminal behavior is learned, in a process of communication with other persons. It wasn't something people just invented on their own. It came from their social world. It really drives home the power of our environment.
So, what's the point of all this theory? Is it just for textbooks? Absolutely not. Let's look at how these big ideas are actually put into practice and why they matter so much in the real world.
This is where the rubber really meets the road. When we understand the potential root causes of crime, we can create smarter, more effective policies. For instance, if crime is learned from peers, maybe the solution involves more after-school programs. If it's caused by broken social bonds, maybe we need to focus on supporting families and communities. Criminological research informs everything, from crime prevention all the way to rehabilitation programs for offenders, all with the goal of making the justice system more effective and more fair.
And that kind of leaves us with one final big thought to chew on. Criminology shows us that there's no single, simple answer. Crime is this incredibly complex mix of personal choice, biology, psychology, and huge social forces. So if there are 1,000 different reasons why a person might break the law, can there ever really be one single right way to stop it?